Wait. We all remember her, right? Yeah, you do not want to end up like that. Trust me, I know a thing or two about thinning locks, so you'd want to stick around for these tips. The first, most obvious tip is to avoid retwisting your hair too often. Personally, I would recommend retwisting your hair, say, about once a month. Retwisting your hair every 2 weeks is doing too much. It will lead to your hair thinning out eventually. And I know that it's really easier said than done because we live in a society where you can be perceived as being unkept, untidy, nasty if your hair looks a certain way. But it's in this process that you have to learn to embrace your roots, embrace your frizz, embrace your natural self, and be creative. You could use head wraps, you could use beanies, you could use hats, you could use headbands, you could use durags, different things to cover your hair when it looks really puffy and really frizzy and you just don't feel confident enough to go out in the world looking like that. Just ensure that you're not retwisting your hair way too often because you'll start to see where your hair starts to get really thin at the roots, and trust me, you do not want to have thinning dreads. I'm not saying that you can't get your nice styles and your updos, but what I want you to do is to be aware of how tight styling your hair might feel because it can be a little bit too much pressure on your hair follicles, and you'd see that over time doing styles, especially too often, like maybe every time you wash your hair, then you're doing a style and you're doing it too tightly, it can cause your hair to thin. So I'm not saying to avoid styles, I'm just saying be mindful of how tight it feels on your scalp because your follicle won't be able to manage all that tension, and hair is actually really fragile. Listen, I have gotten the urge to color my hair one too many times. I wanted to try ginger, I wanted to try burgundy, I've even wanted to try a chocolate brown color, but in the back of my mind, I know that for my hair, and this is from just observing past mistakes, I had a bleached color in the past. I think I even dabbled with a burgundy ish type color, and that. Um, it's from observing what I did with my hair in the past that lets me know that hey, I can't manage color damage because we all know once your hair fades, it kind of looks and you want to retouch it, and some people will go over that faded color with more bleach, and you know that when you bleach your hair it is doing some form of damage to the shaft of your hair, and you'll notice where it's not only thinning at the roots but the entire thing, and by the time you look, you have the urge to cut it because your locks are ruined. Bleaching is literally such a risk. I know color is beautiful, and trust me, I have to be fighting with myself to not color my hair, but I know in the back of my mind that it's really damaging. It really impacts the health of your hair. And I always notice that people that has color in their hair, not everyone, but sometimes it tends to look more dry, more brittle, and that's because the bleach eats away at the shaft of your hair and it just causes severe damage. It's not that you can't bleach your hair at all, but just be mindful of the fact that bleach is very damaging because it in the process of lifting the color from your hair, it's doing some damage to the hair shaft. To this day, people think that once you get locks, that's it. You do not have to do anything to your hair. Like, you could just leave it and it's just going to grow to an extent. Listen, when you get locks, you still have to care for your hair, you still have to maintain it. And actually, just neglecting your hair overall can cause it to thin. Imagine just not washing your hair on time, not doing any form of separation. There are people that have locks like myself where the loose natural hair at the roots grow away from the lock itself. So if I don't retwist my hair often, it would cause the locks to thin out because there is not enough hair at the base to strengthen the locks. So do not neglect retwisting your hair unless you want a free form or semi free form, then that's a whole different story. But be sure to take care of your hair. Neglecting your hair can contribute to thinning. So you need to ensure that you're caring for your hair, not because you have locks. I mean, low maintenance doesn't mean no maintenance. And some people really just think, I have locks now, so bye bye caring for my hair. No, I feel like for healthy, thriving, growing, thick, juicy locks, you still have to make sure that you're taking care of them and showing them some love. Honestly, I feel like those are the main things to consider. And if you don't retwist too often, if you don't bleach your hair every second, if you don't style your hair too tightly too often, and also if you just care for your hair, then your hair will be thriving. Once again, thank you so much for gracing me with your time, for even watching the video. If you even reached the end, thank you so much, and I will definitely see you again in the next one.